Today I'll explain why Wyomingans say you shouldn't move to Wyoming. Late last year, we did a survey asking people that live in Wyoming what about the Cowboy State makes you want to move, or what would have stopped you from moving to Wyoming. This was a really fascinating survey. People had a lot to say. One thing I learned is, in Wyoming, they love their state, but agree it's an acquired taste. It's not for everyone. You need to be a little tougher if you're going to live in Wyoming. So today, we're going to look at why the locals say not to move to this great state. We'll get into that after a brief message from today's sponsor, Aura. As someone who spends a lot of time online, it's important that I know that my information isn't where it shouldn't be on the internet. If you do a quick Google search of your name, you'll find out who's got your information. And that is uncomfortable. I don't like seeing that. I mean, besides myself, there's my dad's information on there too. There are these people out there called data brokers, and they sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who wants to target you. This is how they make their living, so you know they're putting some serious effort into it. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Clearing this information will help with spam and lowering the risk that someone gets your information and hacks into your online life. Hackers can get into your bank account, social media accounts, and get a hold of other sensitive information that you don't want them to have. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, ID theft insurance, and more without downloading several different apps. It's very easy to set up, and best of all, you can get all this at a very affordable price. Sometimes it's what you'd pay for a single service. Most of us have really hectic lives, and it's good to have someone like Aura on your side. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like locking your front door and leaving your back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours, so you could go to aura.com/Briggs and get a 2-week free trial from Aura. There's also a link in the description area below. All right, back to the video. Number 10, seasonal allergies. Certain times of the year can be challenging for people with allergies due to the pollen from all that nature Wyoming's so proud of. This is how it usually shakes out. You're all set to enjoy the awe-inspiring vistas of like the Grand Tetons, or you're there to take a leisurely hike through Yellowstone and bam, your nose turns into a faucet and your eyes look like you were pepper sprayed for like the 3rd time by a lady at the mall. Damn her, I yelled surprise. This was a major deal breaker for a lot of locals in Wyoming. Wyoming's wide open spaces and diverse flora mean that as soon as the snow melts and spring shows up, the pain does too. Because of the Cowboy State's unique geography and climate, one day you're basking in the glory of a clear, symptom-free day, and the next thing you know, you're a watery-eyed mess because of all that ragweed pollen. And let's not forget the late summer and fall when the sagebrush and other weeds make their grand entrance, ensuring the allergy season extends its stay like an out-of-work cousin. At least the views are nice, right? Number 9, you're not welcome. Wyoming has a problem with outsiders. They're really not receptive to them. They've had enough of new people moving into the state, and a lot of them feel that they're trying to change their way of life. And you hear this from all these different states, especially out west. They blame Californians for moving to their state, whatever. I get it. There's a lot of that going on. But they always forget that people from Wyoming have been moving to California for decades, or to Oregon, or to Washington. A lot of people from the Cowboy State mosey on down to Colorado too. But this state is so underpopulated that it's noticeable when too many people start moving to the state. The people here like their way of life. They like their wide open spaces, they don't like traffic, and they break out in a rash every time they see new construction. This state currently has a population of about 584,000 people. In recent years, they've seen a lower birth rate, which means all the growth that they see is coming in cars with out-of-state license plates. One of the nicest places to live in Wyoming is the Jackson area out near Jackson Hole. It's gotten very very expensive over the years because it has been a great place for very rich people from California or from New York to go buy property, build an amazing cabin or ranch or whatever they want to do. And this just raises all the prices in the area. Well, it's going to start spreading to other parts of Wyoming. It's not just staying in Jackson. And the people from Wyoming know this. So in the survey, there was a lot of comments explaining how their views on newcomers are becoming more and more negative. Number 8, energy dependence. This state is a powerhouse, quite literally, sitting on a treasure trove of coal, natural gas, and oil. It's kind of like a place where the energy sector doesn't just contribute to the local economy, it is the backbone of it. But here's the rub. While Wyoming has all these resources in spades, it's also kind of in a tricky spot because it's so dependent on these industries. As the market shifts, they have layoffs, people are out of work for months at a time, and businesses that support the energy sector, they start laying off people or going out of business. In the comment section of the survey, a lot of people said, well, we could have wind farms, but nobody wants those. I think they're the future of Wyoming. Wyoming's a very windy state. And wind farms are a new technology. They'll get smaller and more efficient as time goes on. But this one got on the list because the locals said that they get laid off a lot and there's not jobs sometimes and it goes back and forth. You never know what next year is going to bring. Number 7, access to air travel. Limited access to major airports can make air travel more inconvenient and expensive. Believe it or not, this plays a big part in business for any location. They have to have a good airport nearby. Since they don't have a big population, they don't really have a need for a giant airport. People kept leaving comments about how if they want to travel anywhere, it's an all-day affair. Let's say you're living in Casper, Wyoming, and you got to fly to New York. You're going to have to drive 4 hours to Denver to catch a flight. Or you can get in the local airport, which is just another flight. Those local airports usually don't have a whole bunch of flights, so you got to do a little juggling to make sure you get on the right one, to make sure you get the connection to Denver. It can be a nightmare. If you're living in the northern part of Wyoming, you're really hosed. I live almost in the farmland outside of Portland, Oregon. If I want to get on a flight anywhere, I could leave this house right now with no ticket in hand and be in Chicago within about 6 hours. So yeah, that was one of the bigger complaints about the people that are from Wyoming actually getting someplace else outside the state. Number 6, cold weather. Wyoming is famously known as one of the snowiest and coldest states in the U.S., being the 4th snowiest with 77.2 inches of snow on average every year, and the 4th coldest, averaging 43.9 degrees Fahrenheit all year round. They have the 3rd lowest temperature ever recorded in the United States, minus 66 degrees Fahrenheit. This is another one people from Wyoming were very vocal about. They tell you, if you don't like the snow and you don't like bundling up a good portion of the year, don't move to Wyoming. One man said you better have a 4-wheel drive or you ain't going anywhere, and Subarus don't count. I thought that was rude. I own a Subaru. There's an upside to it. I mean, the snow's a lot of fun as long as it's not getting crazy deep and it's insanely cold. And if you're wondering about how sunny it is, they're ranked 20th in the nation. So if you're coming from California, sell all your shorts and buy a couple good parkas. Number 5, lack of water. Now this one's kind of strange because we were asking people what would stop them from moving there or what makes them want to move away. In a nutshell, Wyoming's pretty much in a drought and has been since about 2000. This was enough for people to say they wouldn't move there because of this. And if you look back in the history of Wyoming, part of the reason they have such a small population is because in the early days when people were settling the west, Wyoming didn't have a lot of surface water. And it was a harsher climate than a lot of the surrounding states, so people just moved on from Wyoming and just passed through it. Well, the lack of surface water still plays a part in what's going on in Wyoming, and the locals know about it. Wyoming is the 5th driest state, and drought is a consistent threat to the region. Since 2000, most of Wyoming has been in what is considered a moderate to severe drought. The level of drought changes every year or so, but it has been significant, and the state will continue to feel the effects for years to come. Conditions did ease somewhat in 2008, but resumed again in 2012. Some of the respondents to the survey said that if they keep getting more people, it'll just make it worse. And eventually this will lead to water restrictions and everything else. The quality of life goes down when a place is in a drought status. I don't know if that's something that would make me want to leave a state or not move to a state, but oddly enough, it must be on a lot of their minds because it was number 5. Number 4, wildlife problems. This one's kind of strange because there's not a lot of states where this is a real issue, but people would leave some of the incidents and situations they've been in with animals. While wildlife draws some into the state, it can also lead to conflicts, such as property damage and safety risks. There's a lot of different issues you could have in Wyoming when it comes to wildlife. Now, a lot of the situations the people brought up in the survey are very, very rare. People's pets getting damaged by wildlife, maybe got in a fight with whatever came through their yard. The biggest one seems to be hitting animals on the highway. So when you're talking about animal problems in Wyoming, it's not as much as being attacked by a bear or a wolf. It's hitting something and damaging your car and maybe sending you off the road into a ditch or something. Now, that can be devastating, especially to your car. According to the Wyoming Game and Fish Department, there's about 6,000 vehicle-to-wildlife collisions each year in Wyoming. These collisions can kill many animals, threaten human safety, and cause hundreds of thousands of dollars in vehicle damage every single year. Number 3, the altitude. People complained about this one a lot too, and really it was when they first got there type thing. When I first got here, I had this problem, and now I have this problem because of the high altitude. You do eventually get used to high altitudes for the most part, unless you have some kind of condition. Parts of Wyoming are way up there, so it might take a little bit for your body to get used to the altitude. On average, Wyoming sits about 6,700 feet above sea level, making it the second highest state right behind Colorado. Most of Wyoming is more than a mile high, and a good chunk even hits about 7,000. Down the southern part of the state, the land averages about 6,000 feet, but up in the north it's a bit closer to the earth, dropping down to about 2,500 feet or lower. According to Jackson Hole Reservation, some symptoms of altitude sickness include headache, loss of appetite, vomiting, feeling lethargic, weak, loss of sleep, feeling dizzy, shortness of breath. High altitude exposure can also cause mitochondrial dysfunction in the brain, enhance stress, and increase the risk of pushing one's own off button. If you're up there too long, it could give you depression and bipolar disorder. Those two are very rare. Well, not the depression one. Bipolar disorder, it can become worse at higher altitudes. I had no idea until I read that on their website. Most people that they live at a higher altitude will eventually get used to it. It does not feel good the first couple days. It feels like you got the flu in my experience. But it caused enough problems for the people that answered this survey that it showed up at number 3. Number 2, internet access. According to Broadband Search, in Wyoming, 97.2% of the population can get high-speed internet. They say this is high-speed, 10 Mbps internet if they want it. That's not high-speed. High-speed has got to be over 100 Mbps. I don't know where they're pulling 10 out of their butt from, but anyway, a lower than average 81.7% of the Cowboy State has DSL access available to them. Only DSL. Only 10% of the population has fiber internet. If you're looking for good internet there, you might run into some problems. And you only have 3 companies to choose from. Well, now you have 4 because of Starlink. Now, it's been a couple years and I was doing a little research and it seems to have gotten better, but 2 years ago, I did a video and I was reading all kinds of surveys and websites about Starlink in Wyoming, and it wasn't the best. They were having intermittent service, things like that. Now I understand it's gotten a lot better. I don't know if the people that answered this survey are hip to that, but it's a thing. When they ranked all 50 states by internet service, reliability, and performance, Wyoming comes in 27th in the nation. The way these people talked, you'd think the internet in Wyoming consisted of 2 pigeons and some flags. But I'm looking at it from a statistics point and what I've read. Every time I've been through Wyoming, now that I think about it, last couple times I went to Wyoming, I had a hard time connecting with my cell phone. I have AT&T, but I've never had a internet service and I've never lived in Wyoming, so I'm going by the stats. These are the people that have experienced and they're not happy with it. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to Wyoming or any state, there's a link for a website called Home and Money in the description area below. They can help you get in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, natural disasters. Natural disasters do happen in Wyoming. You probably don't hear about them as much as, let's say, the earthquakes in California and the tornadoes of Oklahoma or the hurricanes of the southern states. But Wyoming definitely gets them. They experience wildfires, severe storms, flooding, and serious wind. Wind isn't usually a natural disaster, but it does do some damage, and it's a nuisance to say the least. Earthquakes do happen in Wyoming, but nothing like California where whole buildings fall down and bridges collapse, things like that. But if you live there long enough, you will experience a wildfire, a severe storm, or some flooding, or all three. The comment section of that survey was filled with stories of people's experience with the different natural disasters in Wyoming. Wyoming also gets tornadoes. About the only natural disaster they don't get is hurricanes, I imagine. Like I said in the beginning, you gotta be a little tougher to live in Wyoming. Alright, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day. Be nice to each other.